Hey guys, finally finished a new tier list for Lazy Master. Now this is the revised version, so the first tier list wasn't bad, but a few people suggested that I should reevaluate it. So I did go ahead and get a chart of the top picked people, and I incorporated that in. And so not a whole lot changed, but a few people got moved up and a few people got moved down, such as Elamaya, for example. I still think he should be at least an A tier, but there's clearly something that I'm not getting about him that makes him a B tier. But maybe it's his crit damage or something like that. But in the quick view, this is the most simple tier list that I can make. I used to have 2 tier lists for your individual needs, but I combined it into one just so you can easily figure out who you need for your setup. S tier, we're starting in red, and then it goes to, oh, what did I do? I'm doing this on my phone, so you can't access on your phone, obviously. It's a lot easier to see it on the computer. But yeah, so S is red, A is orange, B is yellow, and C is green. So it's in the color scheme of Roy G. Biv, which is pretty common. So I know other people do it in like different shades of green all the way to red, but Roy G. Biv is, pretty universal, I guess. And a lot of tiers can be done in this sequence. White being, the worst, the most common, for example. But yeah, so here's the chart, just letting you guys take a look at it. We got people left to right. It's going to be the tanks, the focus, the AoE, area of effect, and then the supports. I actually thought, I don't even know how to say her name, Levia would have been a little bit higher up than Andriana, but I guess just the way they're able to incorporate it into their teams, Andriana just took the cake. And she's probably a lot easier to get than a light hero, so that made her a little bit higher up as well. However, don't be mistaken, just because they're harder to get doesn't mean that they're any worse. Mamaia is still an S tier. All right, now you'll notice that there's a good lack of dark, Averno being the only dark, and I noticed that when I was looking at their stats and their abilities, that dark was a little bit more limited. Light definitely took the cake for being better than dark, but just because they're light or dark doesn't entirely mean that they are the best options in the game. Now, they will say that in the tips, and most cases, yeah, light and dark is supposed to be better. Honestly, what makes them better is that they don't really have a weakness other than each other, light and dark. They don't have a weakness to fire, to all the other ones, which are actually super common, super easy to get. So they do have, in that case, more protection per se. But when you're incorporating into your team, it's better to have a good group of people than, to have an all light and all dark team until they start adding more heroes into the game that can do that. All right. So let's get out of the quick view and take a look at tier data. So obviously, the elements, they're going to have their respective color when you look at their names. The class-specific top, or this class-specific tier, you're going to see it in the Roy G. Biv form. And the other stats tier is going to also be in Roy G. Biv form, but it's going to be faded. And then the ability tier, those are the way that they're going to be listed. And then that's just information, more information if you need it. You're most likely not going to really need to look at that. And there's some stats at the bottom. They weren't incorporated at all into the list. I just thought there were some fun stats that you could look at if you wanted to know who, for example, had the highest HP, attack, armor, or speed, for example, or who even had the lowest. I just thought that was kind of cool to look at. Just not important per se. So when you first take a look at this tier guide, you're going to actually see they're separated by class. So over here we have tanks, we have the focus, the AoE, and the supports. But right now, this is divided into 2 sections, which is the 7 stars and the 6 stars. Now, the 6 stars aren't going to have a whole lot of information on them because the difference between a 6-star and a 7-star is astronomical. I'm not saying that a 6-star can't be good. I'm just saying at the end game that a 7-star is going to completely outclass a 6-star. I don't think it's possible for a 6-star to, an S-ranked 6-star to take on an S-ranked 7-star. Like, I just don't think that's possible. Ugh. Anyway, so as you can see, there's a bunch of stats. I got the crit percentage in the middle of all their stats. We got the block percentage that they have, the armor break with the holy damage they do. You got the ability listing. We got just all kinds of information, as well as, this guy's stun immune 100%, or this guy, one of his abilities relies on block, or this guy's relies on stun. There's a good deal of information that you may be interested to check out. And of course, if you want more information, you just open up the app and take a look at it. And then over in the far right, we have that, like, for tanks, the assumed tier, which is the current standing of like the class's tier. And it's pretty much the same around. So I think, as I listed here, top players don't use him, but I think he's really good. I think his ability is great. He has great crit. He has great crit damage. He has great damage. I think there's a lot of things great about him, but I think because one of his abilities relies on his teammates critting, I think that might be why he's not as picked as often. Now, as a pay-to-win player, you're going to have plenty of money to be able to buy a light or a dark. And as you can see, when you check out these teams, that they have all kinds of light and dark heroes, but they would typically rather have somebody else like Levia on their team, who's a pretty solid support. 3 of a class dependent. So this guy, Gustav, one of his abilities relies on having 3 of a kind, such as 3 tanks, 3 sports, 3 of a kind. He needs 3 of a kind for his ability to work, and I think that's what hurt him. I think he could have been a much better dark hero, but he kind of got screwed in the pooch from that one. But yeah, so tier list is pretty simple, and if you're not super interested in seeing all the stats on them, you could easily just look at quick view and see what the total guide conclusion is, and it's pretty simple. Anyway, see you guys next time.